What's up, Emiliano? I'm gonna link up with Kendra. We're gonna get this going. Love me tomorrow. All day, all night, you feel my heat. Feel my again. Feel. What's up, Kendra?
Hi. How are
How
you?
doing?
Good. I'm trying to my spare room is so hot, so I have a fan going. Good. How are you?
Good. You're in Michigan, right?
I am. Let me scooch back so we don't get. Is this good or do you want? Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'll be relaxed. Yeah, I'm in Michigan and it's like 65, 66, but it's windy, so it feels a little bit colder.
It's like Chicago. I'm in Chicago right now. Same vibe.
Awesome.
It's
So,
good. Thank you for jumping on and doing this with us.
no problem. I'm happy to be here. So,
Um,
I guess I'll let you ask the questions.
yeah. Well. First, I just want to start off by saying that Raul and I, the producer of the birthday cake, we've been getting different people to be on the podcast. People we're interested in the entertainment industry. People that are just iconic, and that we believe are and and people who shake things up and kind of, you know, have a voice that is too loud for us to ignore. We invite them on, and yours is one of them. And I'm so thankful for you for doing this with us and coming and chatting. And you're a professional and at this point you're an icon. So
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
so
I'm
so,
flattered.
so thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
Well, to start, you are French Canadian with Italian descent. Is that correct?
Well, that's what I thought, right? When my Wikipedia came out, and then that
Okay.
whole ancestry DNA
Mm-hmm.
came out, and I'm a big mutt, but French Canadian, Greek, Italian, and I have a little bit of British in me. So I don't know. I'm all over the map.
Okay. You so you went to college for where did you go to college?
I went to community college for a couple of years, and then I went to Wayne State, and then I took more community classes. So here in Michigan, though, I stayed local.
You went to be a nurse, right?
Yes, yes,
And you became a nurse.
I did. Yeah, I was a pretty good nurse too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And so I have a question off the top here. So when you were going to college, correct me if I'm wrong, but you started dancing to help pay for school, right?
yes, that's correct. So essentially, my parents kind of had split up around that time, and things were kind of shaky at home. So I was like, all right, I guess I have to do this on my own. My parents, I mean, even though they didn't make a lot of money, they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't qualify for the whole financial aid. So yeah, so I went work in the bowl, and it was fun.
Yeah. Was there other dancers that were also going to school?
Some of the girls were. I was so young. For me, I was kind of like a deer in the headlights. So there was, I mean, you name the kind of girl. Like, I just, it was surreal. It was just, some of the girls were in school. Some had been there for years. Some were in bad relationships. Some were doing just fine. They were just stashing a bunch of cash. So it was like a ton of women from different walks of life.
And so that the money you made, that
Yes.
it made a real dent, and it helped you pay for school, right?
It did. And let me tell you, I mean, when my mom lifted up that mattress, wow, she was in for a big surprise. So,
Is that where you kept the money under the mattress?
no, not all of it, but initially I was like, what the hell am I going to do with this?
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah,
That's pretty gangster.
I didn't know any better.
And so you went and did dancing. is there a reason why you specifically chose dancing? Was it for the money, or was it, do you like um, entertaining?
I do. I love to dance. I never did, like choreographed or like classes or anything like that. But I love feeling sexy and being admired. And it was a great way to make money. So I thought, I might as well see what I can do. I originally started off waitressing. And then
Oh,
one guy, he said, I'll give you $500 if you let me see those double D's. And I was like, man, that's a lot of money. I said, sure. You know, and then after that, well, I thought about it. I asked my manager, and he was like, okay, because they had been trying to get me to dance and for a little while, and then I did. So yeah, I took the plunge.
did he give you the money?
Oh yeah, he did. They would have kicked him out if they didn't. It's Detroit.
And was this at the restaurant you worked at or the bar?
It's at the bar. It was called the Booby Trap.
Oh,
Yeah.
in Michigan.
Yes. Good old Booby Trap.
Is it still there?
They changed the name. I'm pretty sure they changed the name last time I was down there, but I don't go down 8 Mile too much anymore. But it was there at least a year ago. So
Speaking of 8 Mile, a lot of people know 8 Mile because of the famous movie. People who aren't from Michigan, and you grew up kind of cruising up and down that strip, right?
yes, my dad always said don't go south of 8 Mile, and it was just, you kind of just stay north of 8. But I grew up a couple miles outside of the city, or like not outside of this. Well, truly, yeah, outside of the city. So just like 2 miles north. But I did get a job, but it was right on 8 Miles, a personal trainer too in college. So, I was multitasking.
Where you grew up, Kendra, was it more suburban or was it country? What was the vibe?
So it was really just like a small city. So I lived in like a city inside of a city. So lived in a big city, and then there was just like this little small city, 2 miles by 2 miles square. So that's where I lived.
Oh wow, that's tiny.
Yeah, it's tiny, but I mean, we were inside of a bigger city. I don't know why they did that, but I was fine with it, I guess.
So Kendra, you're in college, you're dancing, you're making money, you're coming through, you're preparing to be a nurse. And then you take a step and you start doing webcamming, right?
Yes. So I do
Was-
webcamming.
You do. Was that when it was? Do you remember what year that was?
I want to say the end of 2011, like the last few months of 2011.
Is that when it kind of started getting popular?
I really don't know. I never even knew about it. I mean, I don't know why. I guess I just didn't realize how big the internet was, and like the accessibility you had, like to do one-on-one kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe it was around before then, but that's when I was introduced to it. But it was,
Yeah.
there's a ton of girls on a ton of different platforms even back then. So
Did you know other girls who were webcamming? Is that how you got into it?
I knew like zero. I knew nobody. I did not know a soul that did any of that. There was somebody reached out to me because I was on like this model mayhem type thing. And this guy had reached out and wanted me to come out to do a photo shoot in Sacramento. And then he was going to try to kind of help guide me, although he was trying to guide himself in other areas. And that didn't happen. I was like, okay, this isn't going to work for me. So he helped me a little bit, but, eventually I had to kind of kick him. I mean, not shortly after that. So I started a Twitter, and he introduced me to like webcamming and stuff like that.
Okay. So is that a step up? I'm curious, from like, let's say dancing to webcamming. Is that a step up financially, or is that kind of in the same world? It depends how you do it.
Yeah, I think it depends on your hustle, your demographic, and who you are, what kind of shows you do, that type of thing. So
Yeah.
I guess if I would have known then, maybe I would, like, before the whole, I guess, dancing, how good the webcamming, was, then maybe I would have done that a little bit more. But I think they work together, It just depends on your personality and what you're more comfortable with. So,
Of course.
yeah.
So when you started webcamming, it didn't take you long to get into adult films, right? It was a pretty quick transition.
It was um, around the end of November in 2011, and then 2012 I started doing film. I started kind of reaching out because I thought there was a lot more money in performing, you know, out of state and in actual porn films.
Hmm.
So I was kind of doing it the old school way because I didn't know anybody. I was writing and sending in pictures and emailing directors and studios, and people were like, "No, you know, you're older. You know, you're early 30s, and you're in
Hmm.
Michigan. Yeah, it's probably not going to work. You have to move out here." So it was getting all these people saying, "No, it's not going to work." And then I had a studio in 2000, or excuse me, in March of 2012 say, yeah, we'll give you a shot, you know, just get out here. And, you know, so essentially you're in the hole once you go out there because your flight, your hotel, and I don't know what the hell I was doing.
And this is
But
California, right?
this is California. Yeah. So I got out there and did a scene for Brazzers and then Kink at that time. And I had a lot of fun with it. I was very, like, I get nervous a little bit, like with regular lines, I guess, which I shouldn't. I'm a
Mm.
little bit more comfortable now. It's just like, yeah, whatever. But I was nervous. But when it came to actually performing, I just kind of let go. So it was, I don't want to say natural because that's not really something natural for people to do, but I loved it. So, and I still love it.
But you felt when you started doing the webcam, and you felt that's your first time on camera, right, for people,
Yeah.
and then you kind of felt, oh, I feel comfortable with this
I
camera.
love it. Yeah, I love it.
Take
Like
the
I
jump.
just I don't mind. Like I'm not I mean, I'm critical of myself, but I don't beat myself up. I have fun, you know. I think I kind of know how men's minds work. So,
Hmm.
once you kind of figure that out, it's pretty easy. So,
Yeah, and you're known for your for your outstanding performances and your personal connections with your fans, the
yeah.
Lust Army.
Yes, they are
Yeah,
awesome.
it
So,
comes naturally to you. Your connection with your fans. There's so many of them. I can tell you from talking to Raul and this birthday cake Instagram. People are so
yay.
excited to for an interview with you. You know, you have a lot of loyal fans out there.
Yeah, they're great. I'm truly grateful. And you know, I think a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot of people, but people fail to recognize that without them, you know, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And I'm just so grateful. You know, they like what I do. And yeah, it's just awesome. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
So Kendra, so you get out to LA now. You're in
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles, like you
Yes.
said, all your money,
Mm-hmm.
you get a flight, you're
Yep.
out there,
Yep.
you don't have any friends, and you do your first film, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, before I ask you how if you felt nervous, do you remember the first time you watched an adult film?
Oh, absolutely. I was 13. It was in my childhood home. And I don't remember, you know, the thing, it was a VHS tape. And the thing is, I don't remember the girls' names or the guys. I just remember they had these crazy hairdos and like big boobs, and
Mm.
it was like a threesome of some sort. So that's about all I remember. But I had a go-to scene that I really enjoyed. So I wish I would have known like the people, like who they were now, you know, knowing that I'm in the industry.
Yeah.
So.
So when you went in and did your first date, did
Mhm.
were you just kind of on autopilot, or were you kind of thinking like, hey, this is the my first experience with it. I remember when I was first uh, introduced to it. Did you have those nerves running through your body, or did you just kind of jump in?
Oh my gosh, I was extremely nervous. I was probably shaking because not only was it my first time doing it, but I had the director from Hell. I mean, I love him. I get along with him, but he was known at that time for being like just so difficult and yeah, very difficult. So I mean, I felt bad for the crew. I mean, he was tough. So I thought,
It was
holy
tough.
shit! Like these are people that he works with every day. If I screw up, like I'm done. But we ended up getting along really well, and I've always had a good relationship with him. You know, after I shot and everything, it was kind of smooth sailing. So yeah, I just needed to get into it a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that transition, Kendra, that you had, going into from Michigan webcam stuff, going
Yeah,
into to Los Angeles. Did you stay out in LA, or were
I
you still
did.
going? You stayed.
I did. I stayed. I think that first visit was like, oh, probably only like 5 or 6 days because they didn't have a ton of stuff booked. But I didn't know where to stay. I stayed at a Red Roof Inn because that's all I could afford. I stayed in the wrong part of town.
Of
I
course.
Yeah, I was like Wilshire, like, oh, it's this nice hotel or nice boulevard, and I'm staying in like the crappiest
Yeah.
hotel. No, I take it back. It was Ramada Inn, but I did stay at the Knights Inn on Ventura in gosh, no, in Woodland Hills very
Hmm.
often. So when I first came up there, so but I didn't mind. I mean, at that time, that's all that I could do. So
Yeah. But the people in the industry when you joined, they were supportive and they were kind of helping you understand and transition into this new industry. Did you get new representation? Did you get a new agent, a new manager?
well, when I first went out there, I had a lady who was kind of considered taking me on. She was a female agent. Little did I know, you just don't know who to trust out there, But I wanted to go with a female because I thought maybe they would be a little bit more understanding or whatever. But she had represented quite a few big names, and she was great for the first part. And then as you start to gain momentum, and they start to realize that they don't really need you anymore, then things kind of change. But um, I don't like to talk too negatively. Like we ended on a great note, but it just you see things in hindsight. Like damn, like this should have been, this contract should have been negotiated this way, or certain things.
Of
But I
course.
think it's just part of business. Yeah,
Especially when you're new and you have no
yeah.
leverage.
Yeah, so but it was a good experience, and most people are really great and helpful, and it's not as catty as an industry I think as people think. I think a
Hmm.
lot of it is who you are and what you make of it. So it's been a positive, life-changing career for me. So
When you first entered the industry, were you, because we all know, we've all seen films and we've read stuff, and when you first join, you come up with the name, right?
yes,
That's a big one. That's a
yes.
big one. And kind of like what your motif, whatever what your vibe is going to be. Do you remember how you ended on your vibe?
I was never crazy about Kendra, but I had my girlfriends and my guy at the time kind of come up with my name. And in the bedroom, if you mix lust up, you come up with some pretty colorful and fun words, and I refer to myself as one of them in the bedroom. So that's kind of how we came up with lust. So going back though, I mean, I don't think I would have done something a little bit more normal or something, like Katie Clark or,
Yeah.
something a little bit more, but you don't know. And so it's not terrible,
What's
but
what's the best name you've ever heard?
best name. Oh gosh, Jenna Jameson. That's hot.
Jenna Jameson.
Yeah. Okay, and I think it speaks for itself. So, the queen.
There's some, yeah, there's some wild names out there. I love how it's like coming up with a band name, you
Oh
know?
my gosh, right? I'm trying to think. I don't even know. I mean, some of them I'm just like, what? Why would they use that? But then, I mean, they're new to the industry. How do they know? They don't know, right?
Yeah.
I'm fidgeting. I really should have reconsidered this because I'm like one move away from something happening. So, I like, and I kept changing. I'm like, forget it. Okay, so I'll just like sit really still.
All good. You're all good. So Kendra, so you joined the industry
Yes.
and you're rolling, and
Mhm.
pretty soon after you signed a deal with Zero Tolerance Entertainment,
I
where
did. Yes.
where you where you were part of the contract was for you to direct.
Yes, but I only directed one movie for them. And then I
Okay.
think it was more of like a budget thing, which is fine. But I was doing my own stuff with Lust Army Productions. So
Mhm.
kind of two separate things. But it was kind of cool to do it. But I liked my budget more than I liked theirs.
Yeah,
So
so it was non-exclusive deal.
yeah, it was not exclusive.
Got you. But so when you when you were directing, we talked about this quickly the other day.
Yes.
What's the difference between behind the camera and on the camera in the less obvious sort of
Yeah.
sense?
Right. So behind the camera, watching it all is not as exciting for me. You know, there's more stress, and you know, you have this location and you booked it for X amount of hours, so it's like you're just, your head is everywhere except I feel like where it should be. And that was so damn stressful for me. I was just like, oh God, I just don't want to think. I just want to go and enjoy sex, you know? And then too, I'm watching it and I'm just like, okay, like I'm just sitting there like, oh yeah, like, okay, like really getting into it. No direction, like poor director. No good. Not good.
You didn't want to do it anymore.
I didn't want to do it. I was just like, I'm not passionate about this.
Yeah.
No, wasn't.
Well, let me ask you a question. What about the scripts? I've always been curious about scripts for films like that.
Mm-hmm.
What's the process for that? Do you get the script and read it and then kind of, do you even fuck with it?
Yeah, so you know, it depends like on the studio, because some are like, you know, these are the key shots, these are the key things you need to say in this, you know, in the video. When it was my stuff, I liked a lot of gonzo. I don't like a lot of scripted stuff, but I get it. A lot of people do kind of like a little scenario, you know, before whatever pizza boy comes, you know, stick in a box, you know, here I am, come on in, you know, if you want your tip, although he's giving me the tip, right? So, you know, it's, yeah. But, you know, it just depends on the studio, but you'll get the script the night before, and sometimes you try to get it a week before, but it just never happens. Let's be real. It's usually like a day, sometimes 2 days before. And, you know, a lot of times though, too, they're cutting, you know, because they need like a wide, then they need, you know, 2 cameras or 1. So it just depends, you know, but, get a little bit of say if I'm not comfortable with something completely. Like I'll run it by the director before. That way I'm not screwing up the whole entire, like what we've worked up to. So it's important to kind of read it ahead of time so you don't kill the day, you know, the next day. So
of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Just like filming when we're filming, you know, you gotta be at least, you gotta be prepared.
Oh, yes.
Do you so we myself, Raul, we've been working on our next film, and we have a lot of people we're getting on this birthday cake live is people we want to put in our next film, and you're one of those people.
Yeah.
So have you had ambition to act in feature films? Have you?
I had a couple opportunities. One was kind of portraying me in, I mean, kind of already the light that I'm in. So I was just like, I don't want to play just a floozy, like, you know, and that's cool. But I just felt like, for me, it wasn't a good opportunity. And then another one was it was going to be an independent film, and then they were crowdfunding it for, it was going to be filmed in the state of, I want to say they were doing it in Philly. Anyway, there was 2 different places that they were considering doing it, and it was more of like a sci-fi thriller, and I was going to play this police officer, you know, and they gave me the name Pat. Really? Do I look like a Pat or a Patricia? I mean, maybe Patricia, but I feel like Pat. I always think of that joke, like Pat my ball. I can't stand that name. So anyway, but you know, so anyway, as far as like the funding, they didn't raise the money. It was just, I felt like it was kind of like all on me to like raise and I'm like, Jesus, this is a lot.
I got you.
So yeah, so I mean, there've been a couple opportunities, but just hasn't been the right fit. So
yeah, well, we're gonna make sure that your character's name is not Pat.
I mean, if it is what it is, right? But
it won't be.
Yes.
Kendra, I wanted to talk to you about, we were talking about on the phone the other day about OnlyFans and stuff like that. I know you said that you do that, right?
Yes, I do.
And it's a good source of income for people. It's a great platform. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know that you are in the process of coming up with a new app.
Yes. Well, it's more of a platform. So
Platform.
yes, OnlyFans, it's really great because it's not only just for like adult film people. You know, it can be if you're a sexy workout person, or if there's just any subscription-based information or things that you want to share with your fan base. So it's really nice because, you know, we can film whatever it is that we want on there, and as people will sign up for subscription, excuse me, with all this news, for subscriptions. And then it's really nice. You can interact with them. You can text them, special videos, things like that. So it's really nice. It's really interactive. However, I feel like that it could be improved. So a group approached myself, and there are some other girls in the industry, which is really kind of cool. We're all part owners of this this platform that's going to be coming out sometime this year. We don't have an exact date, but it will be. It's called Vybin, Vybin, and it's going to be, again, not only for just adult film stars, but also athletes, anybody who wants to be able to go live with your fans, interact with them on a more personal level. It's going to be able to handle a lot more traffic, which is really cool, less glitching, and more user friendly for the subscribers. So I think it's really cool. I know that it is going to definitely change the way we communicate with our fans, and I think a lot of people are really going to like it because it's taking a lot of the features that they have in OnlyFans, in addition to some really cool other options that aren't out there, all in one platform. So I'm ready. I mean, 2020 has kind of sucked. Let's be real, for so many people. But I think, you know, we're gonna end it on a positive note. So yeah.
That's cool. That seems exciting. Congratulations on all that. Like, that seems dope. Do you see that being more the future of maybe the adult film industry, to become more personalized like that?
I do. I think there will always be, you know, the online, you know, studios and sites and things like that for people who don't necessarily want to connect, and that's totally fine. I mean, there's different demographics, and that's why it's nice to have all these different options, you know, for the fans. However, I do think the younger generation does like more of a personal connection, you know. So, you know, I think, and two, I don't know that some of these countries overseas aren't allowed to get like DVD or, you know, some of those things over there, or they can't go online and see certain studios. So if they're on a platform that isn't X-rated, then they can communicate, and maybe that's the only kind of, you know, adult content they can get. So it's kind of nice too for that.
Yeah. And then there's also, of course, what everyone always says when they talk about virtual reality, about the future of virtual reality and the future of pornography. Like, you know, you're in the industry. What is the what does the future look like in that?
Well, I mean, I think it's really cool. I've done virtual reality type scenes. I've actually watched a scene through the viewer's eyes, and it is so real. It's very cool. My thing is, if I'm a guy, I don't know. You know, you're in the moment, and I mean, what if your mom walks in, or just like, I feel like when you're ready to, you know, do your business, okay? Do you really want to pull out all your equipment? And, you know, I don't know how much time you have. Maybe you only have 10, 15 minutes. So I think it just depends. If you want to serenade yourself, it is very cool, though. It's the most realistic. So I think it's awesome. But again, I think it depends on the consumer, you know, completely.
I've been seeing a bunch of questions coming up here.
Okay, I know. I'm like trying to peek in.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
Hi,
so when you first got into adult films and stuff, did you have friends and family who had weird, was anyone being weird about it?
Well, yeah, actually, you know, my friends were like, I told them. I remember when I was at a group of like 5 of my girlfriends, and they were thinking, really? Like, we know, like, you're really, like, you know, a hypersexual person, but you're really going to do that, you know? And I think they didn't believe it. They were skeptical, but supportive, and still supportive to this day. So they're some of my best friends. They're great. I did tell like my family, and they were, you know, some were receptive, others were like, okay, like we're not so much, and that's okay. Like they don't have to be. But the main thing was the most important people to me were supportive, and that's all that I needed. You know.
Yeah,
So yeah, people are always, no matter what you're doing, people
of
are always
course.
going to have something to say. So if you live
Yeah,
your life according to everybody else's rules or what you think you should do because society says it's what you should do, then you know you're going to live miserable. Okay, because when I die, whenever that time may be, I don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel. I don't want to have regret. And I mean, I know that I'm a good human, so it doesn't matter what you do, whatever walk of life, just be kind, you know, live your own truth, you know, fuck everybody else. Excuse my language, but it's like, you
yeah.
know, I mean, it's just sad. Let me make sure we're in check
No,
here. We're in check.
that's good perspective to have, Kendra. It really is. No,
Yeah.
like you said, no matter what you're doing, you know, you're always going to have that sort of haters, you know, no
Yeah.
matter what. Um, I want to ask you a question about being on camera.
Yeah.
Does seeing yourself on film, does that, I can imagine that gives you a different sort of relationship with body image and
Yeah. Woo.
kind of like how you process that and how you deal with it.
Oh, it does. And that's why I don't watch my stuff. I
Oh,
do
really?
not, will not. And that's terrible, especially in mainstream, like when you're supposed to, right? How do you hone your craft? How do you, you know, get better? How do you, you know, but I don't want to, I just don't want to. Like, I don't want to. I, you know, I feel
Have you
like
ever?
I have, but it's not like something I do. Like, I'm just like, oh, let me see what I did because a lot of it is natural for me, and I don't want to change like, oh wow, look at that face. If I was really enjoying it, let me just make that face. Okay. And if I have a little something here, like, you know, I don't want to overthink it. I'm human, I'm real, you
Yeah.
know. And I've worked with people that have just, I mean, it is so not enjoyable. And I feel like you should be having some sort of fun while you're working.
Yeah.
Um, so I really try not to. I do always ask the directors and producers, though, or excuse me, the directors. Not so I don't touch base with the producers after, but I'll ask, you know, hey, is there anything I could have done different, or do you want me to you know, I'm open to constructive criticism because I think that is important.
Has there ever been a piece of criticism you've gotten that has stuck with you?
Well, one of the directors was like, "Okay, don't do that because you know, your implant or whatever," and that caused a problem for me because you know having to balance or whatever. So I did end up having to, and they needed to be redone anyway. It's not like he said it, so it's going to happen. Like I take it with a grain of salt. Is it going to affect my quality of my work, my quality of life, like these types of things? And that just gave me a reason because I wanted to anyway. So but no, I mean, like, okay, so that's like a superficial constructive criticism, but like criticism as constructive and something that's been like influential, I would have to say, you know, I always go back to the story with Julia Ann, and she's a legend, and she's been doing this for so long, and she's just, she's iconic, she's beautiful, she's
Hmm.
done it all, right? So just her little pieces of advice, you know, working with her, she's you know, always just been so kind and sometimes very raw. And I'm like, damn. But, you know, it's genuine, you know? So
Yep.
I appreciate that very much. Some of the directors, Brad Armstrong, he's always been great. He directs for Wicked. Just great, been in the industry for years. So just listening to them, you know, people with credibility, you know,
Hmm.
and with that can talk the talk, walk the walk. They've been there, done that. You know, not just some girl coming in. Yeah, that doesn't do for me. You know, so
So you know, in sports a lot, or even in you know, I see it in sports, but you'll have like the Hall of Famers and the
yeah,
young people that come together. Is it
yeah.
like that in your industry, in that industry as well?
Well, you know, I feel like it's so different than what it was. I'm just gonna try and adjust that. You know, back years ago, because the internet has really changed the dynamic of the industry as a whole. You know,
Mhm.
back in the 90s and early 2000s, there were just like a group and they were so close because I feel like the the internet, I don't know. Okay, so that's kind of jumping around, but I feel like it was a closer knit group because it was more taboo back then, right? You know, so it's like they had to stick together and you know, and they were basically the only ones filming. And now I feel like the industry is so oversaturated. You know, the word star is loosely thrown around, and you know, the people, the turnover rate's a little bit higher. You know, it's just different than it was years ago. So,
When you say the turnover rate is higher, what do you mean exactly? Like how long
like,
somebody's in the industry?
yes. So, you know, a lot of girls come and go, you know, and then there's girls that, you know, that stay. But generally, a lot of girls, you'll see them do one or two films and then, you know, they don't come back for whatever reason. It wasn't for them or, you know, there's much more competition than there was years ago. So we're all fighting for that spot. But I'm grateful that, you know, and I think a lot of people that are kind of that came in around the same time I did have an advantage because we were able to brand ourselves and build our name. And
Yeah, you've
now,
established a brand.
yes,
Yeah.
opposed to some of the girls. So some of the girls now that are getting in these featured films, like we're passing up because, and that's fine. I'm grateful because everybody, we need everybody. And, you know, I'm not going to go out and film 18 hours a day when I can make, you know, double, triple the same, you know, for the same amount of time in the comfort of my own home. Just to
Yeah.
say, you know, I've done the features and, you know, let somebody else. And I'm fine with that, you know. So
Yeah.
the people that, you know, we would maybe be, you know, featuring in or be on the box cover, those types of things are now being passed down to the B and C list, you know, which I'm finding whatever. And that's not a negative, and I don't mean to sound that way, but I think
No, it's just evolving.
yeah, it's evolving.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So, you know, you keep referring to being on set. You're like, I keep saying I want to, you know, have fun, make sure I'm having fun. So, if that's
Mm-hmm.
if that's the case, then the question is: it all acting, or is there pleasure is appropriate?
Oh, there's both. Oh yeah, there's
There's
both.
both.
There's
Okay.
both. There's times where I'm like, this is some grueling stuff, like, you know, or like the talent you're working with, you're not necessarily connecting with, like, yeah, you know, maybe there's
Yeah.
physical, but there's no personality. You're clashing or whatever. So, so yeah. So it just depends.
Is there a really awkward time on set you can think about that story you can share with us? Because I imagine there's a few awkward moments.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
Or is everyone just so professional at that
well,
point, you know?
you know, I mean, oh, I've had my off days where I'm just like, okay, you know, where I'm just, I feel like we all do, or we can't, like, we're just kind of in a weird zone. Depending on the director, can completely change the vibe too. So you're just like screwing up your lines. You're just not on point, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. The one guy slipped on lube. I mean, the floors are filled with lube. I mean, I remember walking into this house and the whole house smelled like weed and it was just there was lube all, I mean, just nuts. It was like a slip and slide and I'm like, what the hell am I walking into? But everybody kind of knows this director and he's a lot of fun, but he likes his lube. So I was like, holy shit, I'm a little nervous, but it was nice and easy that day, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah. Is smoking weed on set, is that kind of like a normal thing?
no, but it's legal there. So
Oh yeah,
and
sure.
he was a big, yeah. But no, not, it's not like we're condoning like drugs or
No, yeah, of course not.
yeah,
Of course
or
not.
anything
You know,
like
like
that.
I've been a producer for
Yeah.
so long, music producer, and like, you know, every time I'm in the studio, we're smoking. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like a
I
place
mean,
to go to smoke, you know?
yeah, I mean, if that's like some people helps them just chill, like
Yeah.
whatever. Everybody's got their own way to kind of their vibe. You know, I like my music, and especially like when I'm doing photos, that kind of gets me into the mood, and I'm ready. I'm feeling sexy. I'm done up. I'm in the moment. You know, so I like my music.
What's your song to get pumped up?
I don't have like a specific song, but I do like I love my hip hop, you know. I mean like when I work out, sometimes I'll listen to like, you know, hard rock, you know, so it just depends. But when when I'm getting ready to perform, I like it's like that alter ego, that inner gangster comes out. And I'm so far from it. Like but in my mind, you know, you have to kind of like go into Kendra mode, and that's what I do. Like, you're boss bitch, this is you. Like, you know, you kind of train yourself, because normally I'm just Michelle. Like, that's it, you know? Not that cool, okay? But when I'm there, I got to be the fantasy for the guys, you know? So I have to go into a different mindset.
I see.
So yeah,
That's
hip
cool.
hop.
You go in and you're like, I'm the
Yeah.
boss. I'm the boss. I got
I
this.
have to, like, bitch, you know, I even call my own self that. I don't even like to use that term, but like when I'm in my zone, I'm in my zone, and I'm ready. So,
What are what are some of the biggest sort of misconceptions you think people have about porn?
I'm glad you asked that question. You know, I think people think that because this is what we choose to do to make money, that we don't have other options, or we were all abused, or, you know, no, we were not all. I came from a very normal family, and I don't know what normal is. I guess we all have a
Yeah.
definition of normal. But I feel like, you know, what we do does not define who we are. So when, you know, somebody goes to work and they're, you know, a doctor, you know, are they, I mean, I guess you're always a doctor, you know, but I mean, they go home, they're a dad, they're a
Sure, they play
husband,
guitar,
like,
they do
you know,
this. Yeah.
yeah, like they have other things, you know. So, you know, what we do doesn't define who we are. So I just want that to be clear. Like, we're not all a box of rocks. We don't all do drugs. Like, I've never I mean, I've seen cocaine, but I've never done it. I don't judge, but that's just not something that I do. Like,
Yeah.
it's not for me. I like to be level headed, you know, like I like my cocktails. Don't get me wrong. But,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so I wish people were more open minded, because we're doing everything that everybody else is doing, right? Everybody has sex, everybody enjoys sex. I'm just okay with putting it out there and profiting from it. I'm not meeting somebody for a first date or a second date, banging them, and then not getting a call back. I'm getting a call back and I'm getting paid. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with you not getting it. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm very open minded, and I'm very sex positive, and I feel like, do what makes you happy. Just don't condone me,
Yeah.
you know, for how I make my living.
Of course.
Sorry, got a little heated there, huh?
No, that's good. That's good. You know, I think most people can relate and understand what you're saying, but clearly there's obviously people who can't. You know, and that's always going to be the situation, like you said earlier. No matter what you do.
Right.
You know.
But that's okay. It's not our job. Like, I always, this is from Dr. Seuss, you know, what other people think of you is none of your business. And it's not.
Yeah.
And I don't care. They don't pay my bills. They don't affect my life. Then really, they're not, or supportive, they're not important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a while to get there, but I'm there.
So Kendra, what's your favorite film? I want to learn a little bit about you.
So, regular film?
Sure, regular film.
Sure. Oh my gosh, you know.
Both, actually.
I guess that's so hard, because how can you just narrow it down to just like one? There's comedy, there's drama, there's so many different genres, right?
Yeah.
But I don't have a favorite. I like comedy, but I like action too. I just saw, so I can't answer that question. I'm sorry. I just saw a movie. It was pretty good, but I was so disappointed at the end. The ending.
Which one?
It was called The Extraction.
Okay.
So that was good. It's just like, the good guy is supposed to live. When he dies, it just makes me so sad. So, but yeah, so that was good. I saw, what did I also see that I thought was really hilarious? It was called The Other Missy with David Spade. Funny, just a Netflix thing. I mean, I was just like, oh my God. I really think that the woman who plays, I think it's Lauren something, anyway, I think she's really going to gain some momentum because she was great in the movie. I didn't even know who she was until, and she's been around forever, but I think that is hopefully does some really cool things for her.
Yeah, I want to see that. I heard about that.
Yeah, it was really cute. And then as far
Have you been
as
watching The Last Dance? I know you are friendly with Rodman.
uh, I haven't talked to him in quite a while. Like it's been a while, like really since like the podcast, which is okay. But like some of his team will kind of reach out here and there, or like his part of his crew, his social group or whatever. But yeah, so I really loved watching it. I don't know though because it's just I don't know. It's like, okay, documentary, but again, it's based on Michael's perception, right? And then you have Horace Grant. I was reading something and he was like, yeah, see, Horace kind of stood up to him. So Michael wasn't as kind of, he wanted to make the players around him great. And he wanted them to all have the same mentality, okay, which was a winning mentality, And so I guess how you motivate some is not how you motivate others. But I don't want to hear about the negative stuff. I guess I just want to see him in one light, and that's just awesome, the GOAT, and I don't want to hear anything else about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I loved it. I loved it. Couldn't get enough of it.
What do you think of Rodman? I think Rodman, I think he's great. I love Rodman. Yeah. I think he's amazing.
Best defensive player, amazing. Probably the best. I personally, I spent like 8 hours with them. It was very cool, like very platonic, we worked out, we kind of set up how we were going to lead up to the podcast. And I guess he has a routine. So we were just kind of on his routine and, he's very nice. I think he, very worldly. I think he's just kind of misunderstood. I think deep down he's a beautiful soul, and he's very kind. I think he's just misunderstood, and I feel like, how he puts things sometimes. People, I guess it's not always from a negative place. I think it's just people don't truly understand who he is, and rightfully so. None of us really do. I'm sure it would take a long time to really kind of get to know who he was, but he's kind. He's a little rough on the exterior, but he's kind inside. Yeah. So yeah, I got along with him fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's great. He's great. I love Rodman. I think Rodman's great. He's so motivated, and that guy would just disappear for a few days and then come back and work even harder. That guy's wild.
Unbelievable. Give it 110% on the court. That's the thing. His cardio, just unbelievable. What the hell? Yeah. He's superhuman.
So what's next for you? What are you excited about coming up?
Well, I was going to be doing a podcast in Vegas. It was going to be directed. Well, why do I keep saying directed? It's going to be directed by me, whatever. But I was going to have some help doing it in Vegas, and I just thought it would be easier to kind of get guests out there opposed to coming to Michigan. How exciting is that? You can get people to come to Vegas, right? It's everyone loves Vegas.
Yep.
So it was going to be out there, and then the whole pandemic. So I was a little bummed out. However, in the June, I'm booking a flight. I was looking at flights yesterday. The 16th, 17th, that week of June, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to get this started, and I just want something different. And I think that'll be kind of cool. It'll be called All In with Kendra. So have that,
cool.
And then the whole Vibe In, that platform. So those are kind of some things in the works. And then,
great.
Yeah. So, I have some other things, but before, I would talk about these things and then, we have a little stop in this. So I'm going to kind of keep some things quiet, and then hopefully our, the American Dream, so that, we can discuss that, that would be great. So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
That's cool. That's exciting. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with me.
Thank you. God, I'm looking, I'm like, why am I'm so damn greasy? I have these little blotting papers. But, yeah, so whatever.
It's all good.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad everything worked out, and congrats on the birthday cake movie, and that's awesome. So
Thank you so much, Kendra. And yeah,
yeah,
we'll chat soon because we're gonna do American Dream and it's gonna be great. And
yeah,
I'm really excited for the stuff you got going on. I think that the new platform, that's
it'll be great.
cool.
It'll be great.
That's good. You know, progressive thinking about that. You're thinking in the right way. I think that's cool. And like, you know, you're a heavyweight in your industry. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
cool
thank
to get to chat with you and to hear your ideas and your perspective on it all.
Well, thank you. I couldn't have done it without all the fans, and then truly, so I'm so thankful for all of them. So thank you guys, and just a lot of the veterans in the industry, so who've helped me out, and I really appreciate that. I'm just grateful for everybody's support. I don't forget, staying at the Night's Inn, and you just never know. We could all be like a day away from something like that happening. So I think we just need to be grateful, stay humbled, and just try to be a nice human. Like give a wave in traffic, hold the door for
Yeah.
the elderly. Wear your freaking mask. No, now they're saying, okay, I don't even want to get into that. But anyway, thank you so much. We'll
Great.
save that for another time and another day. So awesome.
All right, Kendra. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
again.
Bye.
Bye bye.